There we are.
Good morning. I don't know if this is a good or bad wake-up call for everyone. Good way to wake up.
That was a very good good morning for a bad day lesson.
Yeah. And let's go
You're
all
very
singing in
excited
the
sounding.
rain. Good morning, good morning.
I'm writing our little banner.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we have a viewer already. 9 a.m.
Hello.
Immediately with us. Well done, everyone.
Good for you. Yes. Please, if you're at home, tell us who you are so we know who's watching. What's your
Mm-hmm.
name? Where are you watching from?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Should we introduce ourselves quickly?
yeah,
Probably.
let's do that.
Would you like to go first? You go first. Ladies
Okay.
first, as they say.
Okay, I will go first. So my name is Emily, and I am speaking to you from Milan. I work here in Milan at the Meravigli School. I am originally from the UK, from the middle of England, and I moved over here about 10 months ago, so a little under a year.
Yeah. And my name is Seth. I'm also from the Meravigli School in Milan. Um, I am from the United States, from Ohio, which is sort of in the middle eastern part. I don't know. I don't know how to explain where I am. It's not in the middle. It's in between the middle and the east.
Okay.
Where it's a
Yeah.
big country, so it's like
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
and yeah, and I've been here now for in Milan and in Italy for 3.5 years. So, and today we're going to have a horrible day,
Mm-hmm.
just because that's the name of our lesson. It
Yes,
won't be
it's
horrible.
required. Oh, so we have people with us. Hello, we have Sabrina and we have Leonardo. Welcome.
From Genoa. Genoa is a wonderful city. I like Genoa. And Leonardo from Giulianova, Abruzzo. Cool. All right. Nice to see you guys. Thanks for coming at 9 a.m. on
Mm,
Friday. Very
yeah,
good.
I'm very impressed.
Don't be worried by the title. It's not a bad day.
No, it's not. We're not cursing you to have a bad day. Um, yeah. So we'll talk about describing negative situations and some common phrases to talk about maybe good or bad days and writing about an event. So we won't really ask you to do any writing today, but if you want to, then you're very welcome to do the writing activities independently.
Yeah. Nice language in this lesson today.
Hmm.
Lots of idioms that we use.
Yeah,
Aha.
definitely. Yeah, and the conversation topic that is very common. People like to complain if they have a bad day. Other people want to give advice or how to feel better, so it's quite useful. So Seth, how is your day? Are you having a bad day so far?
Well, usually Friday comes as a good day because it's the end of the week, but now in quarantine, Friday is the same as every other day, so it
Mm,
doesn't change much.
yeah.
I would say so far I'm feeling okay. I hurt my back on Tuesday.
Oh,
Told you that, no? And
yes, yeah.
so yeah, and I'm still having like sitting in this chair. I can show you behind me. I've got my heating pad, my cushion,
Oh,
just to to warm up my back.
Hmm.
That's probably the bad part of my day is that I'm just not 100%. But
Yeah.
in general, it's like a good day. So,
Hmm. Yeah,
how
I
about
agree.
you so
Yeah,
far?
I'm having quite a good day in general. I'm generally quite an optimistic person, and I like to see
Hmm.
the sun outside. That always makes me feel better. So yeah, I think despite the situation, I'm having quite a good week.
Nice. I put two about what we see on the screen,
Hmm.
ups and downs. The title of this is already one of the expressions that we use. The idea
Hmm.
of things going up and down, just good things, bad things, sort of the natural flow of life.
Hmm.
And then also, did Leonardo right in our first question asked what
Mm.
cope means.
Yeah,
Cope,
good question.
uh, like dealing with or managing. Usually, I think we
Mm.
usually cope though with something difficult, don't we? You don't cope with a
Yeah,
good situation. You cope with a bad situation. You
yeah,
have to manage a
definitely.
bad.
Yeah, maybe something
Um,
that will be emotionally difficult as well as physically.
yeah, and I think I'm typing. This is kind of the common question or common question we ask people if
Hmm.
if you say, "Oh, I'm having a really difficult time with a colleague," our
Hmm.
friends might say, "How are you coping with it? How are you dealing with
Yeah,
it?" It's used often in this with these words, this structure.
yeah,
I would say it's
absolutely.
in the. I mean, it's not super common the verb cope, but because it
Mm.
no, I mean it happens when it needs to happen, but
Yeah,
um,
exactly. It happens in quite specific circumstances like this. Kind of, how are you coping? Maybe someone says, I can't cope with
yeah,
this situation.
I think in
And again,
psychology and like
mm,
no coping mechanisms.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Which is a common phrase that we hear that uses cope.
Hmm.
But this is more like interesting, like psychology and things, doesn't it?
Hmm.
Like the way that we. So sometimes people have negative coping mechanisms. So when
Hmm.
they have a stressful day, they drink, for
Hmm.
example, which would be a negative coping mechanism if
Yeah.
when it becomes too much. So
Hmm.
um, yeah, and I
Yeah.
can't cope. That's pretty common. You had said as well.
Hmm.
Can't cope with it. I can't deal with it. Go away. Stop.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I can't think of any other occasions when we'd use it. It is in
Hmm.
general that kind of situation where it has an emotional impact. You want to talk about how
Yeah.
you manage those emotions.
Right. And Leonardo's taking us into number one.
Mm.
What do you do to cope when you have a bad day? When I have a bad day, I try to do something I love. That's a
Mm.
good way to cope.
Definitely. Absolutely. And
um,
Sabrina, when I have a bad day, I cope with music. So just present simple there. I cope.
I
Yeah.
cope.
Hmm. Or I listen to music.
Um, yeah. What do you do? Do you have any
Mm.
ways that you deal with a bad day?
I agree with both Sabrina and Leonardo. I think music can really help, or doing something you love. For me, maybe reading or watching something familiar that I don't have to use my
Hmm.
brain too much, that is kind of comforting. Maybe some foods as well, which we call comfort
Yeah.
foods. If a food makes you feel better.
Hmm.
What about you, Seth? What do you do?
I think that I usually try to find people to talk to. I do well with just I need to. I call it. I learned this technique from my mother where my family is a family of venters. We vent.
Mhm. Ah, I love
um,
to vent.
um, to vent um, is the place like, well, in Italian houses we don't usually have this, but the vent is like maybe in an office building, the place where the air, like the
Mhm.
heating or the air conditioning, gets pushed into the room. That's the vent.
Yeah.
So the vent lets air move. So when we apply it as a verb, venting, um, it's the idea of just talking about your what's making you upset. Um,
Mhm.
and my mother is a big supporter of venting, um, and so I like to vent.
Yeah, and I think it often kind of removes the anger. It makes you less frustrated. It makes it
Hmm.
less necessary to take action if you vent.
Hmm. Yeah. Remember, you guys, with chocolate, Sabrina, that chocolate for us, we don't usually need the. I agree with Emily. Chocolate. Chocolate is
Mhm.
always the solution.
Yeah.
Leonardo
It
agrees.
can be.
Nice.
Mhm. Or
Or
ice
ice
cream,
cream. Yes,
Leonardo's saying. Yes.
these are the common
Mhm.
go-to foods. These are
Definitely.
Hmm, hmm,
Okay.
nice.
So we also have question two here. I think there is an obvious answer to question two that we could all give. So, is there anything in your life right now that makes you feel stressed out?
Hmm. My
Um,
answer becomes rather uh, deep and philosophical because
mhm,
this moment of obviously the quarantine has given us lots of time to think or to reflect on life, and
mhm,
so it's a good thing, but it can be stressful. I'm thinking just a lot about my life and the situation I'm in with work in Milan, and
mhm,
just the big questions, and asking myself, and are there things that I want to change? Are there things, the big questions that usually
mhm.
we don't have time to
Yeah,
think about?
yeah, I
And
think
I'm
it's
getting
a good
interesting
time.
answers.
Yeah, it's a good time to take stock of your life, to kind of be aware of where you are or maybe what you want in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But that can be stressful as well.
Do you have any particular? I mean, other than that, any particular things happening? I don't have any that much, but
Um, not really. For a while, I was stressed out about kind of technology and handling that all the time. But I think I have an agreement with my computer now, for the moment. Um, nothing really specific. Sometimes conversations that you need to have, or some kind of time deadline. But at the moment, the pressure is off in a lot of ways.
yeah.
Um,
Oh, I just thought of two small ones. I'm working on another sort of side small job I'm doing. Is
mm,
I'm translating something for a friend,
mm,
and I'm under a little bit of stress because the 10th of April is sort of like the deadline for these
okay.
translations.
Hmm.
But I basically have them under control. But I do have this just in my mind that I need to
Mm,
be working every day a little. And my
yeah.
mother is stressing me out a little bit right now because she is calling all the time.
Yeah.
And in the United States, the coronavirus is just sort of beginning.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I think for us, we've already been in this in Italy for several weeks, and so
Hmm.
my mom is like she wants to talk about it, and I don't want to
Yeah.
talk to her,
No, actually, my
and
family is the same. It's,
yeah,
yeah.
and now I'm avoiding her because I get off the phone and I'm all like energized because
Mm,
she's so nervous and she's doing what everyone here in Italy was doing several weeks ago.
yeah.
But I've moved on to the point of like I don't check the newspaper every day. I'm
Mhm.
like enough. I kind of and she's sending me articles
Oh
of how
no.
many people are dying, how many, and I'm like
Oh
I don't want this anymore. I'm fine,
no, it's too much.
And-
Yeah, no, that is stressful. Yeah, but
Mhm.
I have the same with my mother to a slightly lesser extent.
Uh, Leonardo has given us a nice answer.
Hmm.
About yesterday, I felt blue. Nice expression. Because of my
Very nice.
father, we have no communication. Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry. That's so nice. Yeah. And then I went to work and coming back home, I felt very oh, so Leonardo, you're still going out to work now. A lot of
right.
people aren't able to go out to work.
Hmm.
Maybe you're lucky you're able to leave your house on a regular
Hmm.
basis.
Yeah.
One more,
And
Sabrina.
oh, hmm.
It makes me feel stressed out thinking about the future after the quarantine. I'm afraid of the economy and the job market. We usually use the job market, I think, don't
Hmm.
we?
Yeah.
And Anna says, I'm from Palermo. Hello, Anna from
Hello,
Palermo.
Anna.
Okay.
Okay.
Um, do you want to look at the third one or do you want to move on? I'll leave it up to you.
Maybe, maybe move on for this one. Um, we'll
Mhm.
look at these expressions because these are probably the useful language from today. So these are ways to talk about a bad day or a bad situation. Oh, Leonardo has given us more details. So I help an old lady who has um, a probably who is paralyzed. Probably we would say. Um, I'm
Mhm.
not sure how specific we are about parts of the body, but,
I would
yeah.
agree that we probably just would say she's paralyzed. Yeah,
Hmm.
she is paralyzed.
That's really
Wow.
great, Leonardo. Wow, I imagine that's
Yeah, it's
very
nice.
difficult.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Hmm.
Mm.
Mm.
Okay. So here are our expressions for bad days. Maybe think specifically about what they mean or when you could use them. What kind of situations are we talking about?
Maybe I'll read them for us so that
Hmm.
then everyone at home you can start thinking about what these mean and if you want to start telling us what you think these
Hmm.
mean and then I don't know, together we can talk about what they do mean.
Yeah,
So
perfect.
first, I'll read them. So the title of the slide is Bummed Out. It went downhill from there. It went from bad to worse, to dig yourself into a hole, to wake up on the wrong side of the bed, to rub salt into a wound, pour gasoline onto the fire, or to be between a rock and a hard place.
Mm.
Even reading these, I don't like reading all of
No, no, it's quite negative, isn't it?
them.
There's
Yeah.
a
Before we
comment.
start, maybe we have a few people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, Tatiana from Lyon.
Mm.
Um, oh, so your family is still in Russia, so that's difficult
Oh.
for sure. Um, and I'm a very tactile person. Nice word. And I
Mm.
feel blue. You have a wonderfully French spelling of bleu.
Hmm.
If I can't hug someone every day,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that can be difficult.
Um, Anna says I feel very stressed, like most people. Yeah. How
Mhm.
about so Leonardo is taking us right into good question. Do you understand bummed out, Emily? What's it mean if you're
Yeah.
bummed out?
So bummed out is not really one that I would use. I think it's slightly more American, or maybe I just think it is.
I
Um,
I agree.
yeah. So I think bummed out is like disappointed. I'm really disappointed.
Mhm. Yeah. I think I would use bummed out if um like if I had a dinner or an evening planned with my friends, and then for
Mhm.
some reason it didn't happen. So if a
Mhm.
plan had to be canceled and I was really excited about it, I would be bummed
Yeah.
out.
Mhm.
Um, or even like a movie, if there was a movie coming out and I was really a movie I really wanted to see, and then I went and I saw the movie and the movie wasn't good, I
Mhm.
might say like, I was bummed out. It wasn't as good as I expected.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
um
Situations like that.
it went from bad to worse. They use in Italian. I can see that Leonardo, I think, has done our color lesson. I'm
Yeah.
blue, but blue, I would use maybe bummed out, I think would sound better. Blue has a sense of also like sadness and loneliness.
Yeah. No, I think that's appropriate in this.
Yeah, I guess you're right,
Um,
because you would feel sad and lonely. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm blue because I can't hug people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you don't have enough touch, I mean, I think Tatiana, you said you are very tactile. So if you don't have enough hugs, if enough have enough touch, you can say you are touch starved, like you are hungry for people to touch you.
Yeah. Yeah. Touch starved.
I think we are all becoming a little touch starved at the moment.
Right? Yeah. Yesterday I had a lesson. Um, we are also starting to do lessons, where we are with the students, we
Hmm.
talk to the students like we do at school. And so I had this lesson with four of our students who I know, and I was very surprised when I entered the lesson and I saw their faces. I was
Yes.
really happy to see people that I know, and I didn't realize like, oh, it was so nice to see people.
Hmm.
So, and
Yeah.
people who I usually see every week, really, because these are
Hmm.
for students who come every week to our school and who I know pretty well. Maybe not personally, but
Hmm.
as teachers, we do learn quite a bit about
We do.
people, and
Hmm.
um, it was nice to see people.
Yeah, I feel the same about the webinars. It's always nice to see the other teacher. Like, oh wow, you're
It
still
is
here.
just to have something to talk about and something
Mhm.
to yeah. So well, maybe we can move into these because these are nice.
Mhm.
Would you say, Emily, that the first one and the second one, it went downhill and it went from bad to
Mhm.
worse? They're quite similar, I think.
Yeah, they
No?
are absolutely. I think that maybe the difference is that down it went downhill from there could be either more gradual, or it's it's maybe changes less dramatically, whereas bad to worse
Hmm.
are maybe set categories that you have.
Yeah,
But that's a very
because it's already bad.
it doesn't really make any difference. Yeah,
Yeah,
so it just gets increasingly worse over time, the situation.
yeah. I tend to think of with it went downhill from there. I don't know why, but I picture in my head the like that classic cartoon situation with
Yeah.
the snowball that
Yeah.
begins very small and gets bigger and bigger and bigger. This is
Hmm.
but
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think often classic cartoons are quite good for bad days. The characters do have very, very bad days. If you think of
Watch some
Tom
Wile
and
E.
Jerry.
Coyote and you feel better.
Mhm. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So maybe I forgot my keys when I went to work this morning, and it went downhill from there. Here's an
Yeah,
example.
one small bad thing at the beginning of the day, but then a
Hmm.
whole series of
Yeah,
bad days.
yeah. Or to borrow a book title, a series of unfortunate events that we sometimes talk about. Some of you may know the book or TV series of that.
The third one I really like. I think it's because
Mm.
it's so visual. To dig yourself into a hole. Um, I can be really good at doing this,
Keep digging.
especially because sometimes, yeah, well, because I think um, I don't know, like in general, I'm pretty a happy person, but I tend to be quite aware, at least I think that I am, but obviously not, but of other people. And so sometimes I'll say a comment in a light way, but I'll realize, oh, that made someone didn't hear that the way I intended, or and
Mm.
then I try to like overcompensate for maybe feeling like I offended, and I
Yeah.
just keep saying more things. And so I don't dig myself into a hole of where I create anger, but I think I
Mm.
just make myself look strange because I'm trying so
Yeah.
hard to to compensate for something I've said, and I can
Yeah.
just stop.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it often is about speaking too much. And maybe you
Mhm.
start by trying to apologize, but then the apology makes it worse, and you just,
Yeah,
yeah, you can't speak very well. Um,
yeah,
so yeah, it's a really nice expression, that one. I like that one.
yeah. But you're right. But that especially has to do with um, especially has to do with talking. You're
Mhm.
right. It's often when we say the wrong thing and then we try to fix the problem and we just
Mhm.
keep saying the wrong
Yeah,
thing.
absolutely. So the
I
next
do
one
it
is
a
really
lot.
nice as well. We have all experienced this, I think. So to wake up on the wrong side of the bed. So it's when you wake up for some reason in a bad mood. You feel really
Hmm.
angry, you feel frustrated, and that just sets the tone for that day. And you just continue in that
Yeah.
mood all day.
This one sort of has another meaning the same thing, but
Mm.
just sort of different words. But sometimes when we're having a bad day, we'll say, I should have stayed in bed, which is
Yes.
the same idea that because I got out of bed, that was the wrong choice because it's
Hmm.
the wrong side. It's a bad day. I
Yeah.
should have stayed in bed.
Hmm. Yeah, I feel that part of it quite often.
It would be better just to not wake up, wait till tomorrow.
Not today.
Not today. uh, the next one, I don't like this next one because
Hmm.
it feels
Yeah.
I can feel this one. So to rub salt into a wound. So here we maybe have to explain a few words, right? So
Hmm.
to rub is like to push against yourself, right? To
Hmm.
push, right?
Yeah, like
And then a
creating friction.
wound,
Hmm.
yeah. And then a wound, this is if you when you hurt yourself. So if you have a knife and you cut yourself, we call that a wound.
Hmm.
Um, so I think in Italian they have something similar to this, but so to rub salt into a wound is the idea that if I'm sad about something
Hmm.
and maybe Emily knows or maybe she doesn't know.
Oh.
It can happen in both ways, but Emily says something that reminds me of my sadness. and it
Hmm.
makes me worse. It makes things worse for me. So it's
Yeah.
rubbing salt in a wound, and I think that it can be done intentionally or unintentionally.
Mhm.
Don't you? Do you think? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Um,
I agree. Yeah,
but
maybe someone knows that you just ended a relationship and they want to talk about their partner, for example, or
yeah,
um, or something happens to you privately and they say something which is connected and they didn't know at all. So it can be both ways.
right. Oof. And it feels painful just to
Yeah,
hear it. It's not. I
it,
don't
it
like.
does. It does. It's a horrible image that it creates. Um, okay, Anna's just saying yes, there is the same expression in Italian. Okay. So the next one is a bit different in American and British English. So here, pour gasoline onto the fire, which I am assuming is the American version. So I
Sounds fine to me, so it must be.
would I would say add fuel to the fire. I'd add
Oh, we
fuel.
might say this too.
Yeah.
We might say that as well.
I,
Yeah.
I haven't heard the version on the screen before, pour gasoline onto the fire. Um, So you can use whatever you prefer there. So just for the spelling, if anyone wants that. So this is to again make something worse, make a situation worse, because you add more energy that wasn't necessary. So this it could again be another person. It could be another person saying something to make you even more angry than you were, or it can be you. So if you are having an argument, for example, it could be you say something really hurtful, really damaging to make the argument worse.
Yeah. And this I would agree has to do with especially well, fire usually is associated with anger. So
Yeah.
this is usually being used when people are angry or when there's like tension because of stress. So
Hmm.
like at work, maybe at work, at work we're not allowed to be angry. We're not allowed to yell at people, but there
Hmm.
can be a lot of tension between people. And so maybe, yeah, adding fuel to the fire would be, doing something on purpose to make things Anna understands it because I absolutely agree. Some people are very good. They
Hmm.
know they say the perfect thing to make you
Yeah, absolutely. You could say that person stirs things or stirs the pot. Someone who likes the situations where people are angry, people are frustrated.
Mhm. Yeah, add fuel to the fire. Woof.
Yeah.
um, the last one is a nice one too. So to be between a rock. Oh yeah, so Emily's written the comment to stir the pot, right? So uh, the idea that you're mixing everything up. So maybe everything is starting to settle, but then someone stirs the pot.
Mm-hmm.
They make
Yeah,
it get crazy
yeah.
again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, the last one then. Okay, to be between a rock and a hard place. I like this one. My grandpa used to use this a lot, but he had a rather vulgar version of it that I won't say. But he was a sailor, so had a lot more.
Okay, that
Oh, nice.
explains
That
everything.
was nice.
Yeah, I had forgotten,
Um,
I'm afraid, that
this
the
has,
definitions came up.
yeah, that's okay. That's okay. So yeah, here they have for us. So to have only two unpleasant choices, or to be in a very difficult position. If you imagine, if you have a rock, which is hard, and then you have a hard place. If you're in
Mhm.
between, there's no easy decision. Um, I think in Italian they have something about the similar expression. Those of you who speak Italian can help me, but I think in Italian the expression has to do with being between the hammer and the nail or something like this, which is basically
Right.
the same idea.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, but yeah, never a nice situation. That situation can ruin your whole day for sure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We have a nice expression about this as well by from Tatiana. Thank you. So to push someone over the edge, which is a great expression. Yeah. So maybe someone is almost upset or almost angry, and then someone does something to really emphasize that emotion. So maybe someone
Hmm.
is almost crying, but just about holding it back. Then someone makes a comment, and then they actually start crying. Would be an example of
Yeah,
that.
yeah, nice. That's a nice. I'm thinking
Mm,
about that expression now, and
yeah,
uh,
it's a nice one.
it is. It is.
I have
This
one
like then.
as well, but
Mhm.
mm, you can finish your thought if you like.
Well, that one is making me think because what I was thinking is so to push someone over the edge, but we've we have even other versions of that, like, and this is the same idea. So, like you said, so I'm feeling sad, and then you pushed me over the edge. You said something, and now I'm crying. Now I'm upset. Um, and but the other one, it's the same idea because it has the idea of someone pushing. Um, is to say like the person went too far, they
Hmm.
pushed me too much, they did too much. It's the same kind of thing. Bye, it's Leonardo, I think. Thank
Bye,
you.
Leonardo. Thank you.
See you next time. But if someone goes too far, which
Hmm.
might be a confusing thing because you hear go, and in this case it's an expression. So if you go too far,
Hmm.
the idea that someone who has done too much, they've pushed too much, and now I'm sad or now I'm angry.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe something starts as a joke, but then it doesn't, it stops being a joke at a certain point.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So one more that I have is one that I like, which is out of the frying pan into the fire, which is another way to talk about going from a bad situation to a worse one. So you
Uh-huh.
imagine there is a certain amount of heat in a frying pan, certain amount of danger, but then that's nothing really to a fire. So we use this one quite a lot when we want to be dramatic, which is always.
Which is always, yeah, out of the frying pan into the fire. Cool. Those are nice.
Okay, so I think we might skip this activity because this is quite writing focused. Um,
Sure.
Instead, we have a few ones to talk about maybe.
Ah, the
Oh,
good day. Good day.
we
We
need
need
this
the
now.
good
We
day.
need this.
Yes. Hmm.
So this might be what someone says to you when you say you're having a bad day, or maybe you think of it yourself. Ah,
Yeah, I just wrote.
mhm.
What's that? Go
Tatiana has
ahead.
another expression for us. So, almost, almost. So we use the superlative here. So when worst comes to worst, or worst comes to the
Hmm.
worst. Yeah, this
When
is
worst comes
happening.
to worst.
Yeah, so if the worst happens, if the most unimaginable thing happens, and then you can use the conditional to continue with that.
Hmm. Nice. Wow, Tatiana, nice job.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you.
Well, to move us into the good things,
Mm,
I've written a sentence about turn around because turning around in English can have the idea of maybe the day started badly,
mhm.
but then they started turning around, they started changing. And so I wrote this sentence that I can share. and I included also another. So then we might say things. So the situation started turning around.
Mhm.
The idea, I think, of looking up at the sun. When we're sad, we look down. But when we're happy, our faces go
Mhm.
up. So, um, so now we begin these
Yeah.
happy, these good day expressions because we want to turn around, get
Mhm.
better.
Definitely. And I think turn around you can often use as kind of an imperative as well. So or as a way to say this is necessary. So I need to turn it around. Or you can say to
Mhm.
someone, change things, transform things, turn it around.
Yeah, turn it around. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's very idiomatic. It's pretty. That's
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can physically turn around, right? You can
Hmm.
physically move but in this case, it's not this at all. So
Hmm.
yeah,
So what about on the bright
right.
side?
I like that one.
Mm.
One more, maybe I'll read these first so people can start
Hmm.
thinking about them, and then
Yeah.
so on the bright side, to make the best of something, to make the best of a situation, there's always a silver lining, and at least blah 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 didn't happen.
Hmm.
So you guys at home can start thinking about those. Let us know what they mean.
Yeah.
Um, do you want to start with the bright side?
Sure, yeah. So on the bright side, so again, maybe imagine that you are outside and you see that there is light and there is shadow. We are talking about what's in the light. So on the bright side, on the positive side of a situation. So it's a way to say there is a bad situation, but maybe there is a good element to it, or there is some
Yeah, and Anna
found.
is looking on the bright side with her
Yeah.
comment.
Hmm.
Perfect. Good use of that. We hope things will turn around. Thank
Absolutely.
you for looking on the bright side, Anna.
Yeah. Absolutely. So Seth is right. Normally we use look as the verb to look on the bright side.
Look on the bright. That's even an expression in itself, isn't it? When we'll just say, "Well, let's look on the bright side. Let's choose
Yeah,
to be optimistic."
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. The next one, to make the best of something. Also, a good, we can use this probably with our current quarantine situation.
Definitely.
We're in a situation that's difficult, but hopefully most of us are trying to make the best, to use
Mhm,
a situation that's difficult, to use a difficult situation in a good way, the best way
mhm,
that we can. So um, yeah, so again, it's a way to show optimism. Yeah, find a way to make a bad situation less bad. So
mhm.
yeah.
I think we are all trying to do that at the moment.
Hmm.
So the next one we often use to talk about clouds. So clouds, you can imagine. I think Anna's just said that. Great as well. Every cloud, singular, there is a silver lining. Yeah. So a cloud, because they create rain, quite negative. Maybe it represents sadness or a bad situation. But there's always a silver lining. So there is always something beautiful, something valuable in that situation.
Have you ever seen, Emily, like sometimes during a big storm? I know at least where I live, we have big thunderstorms
Mm,
in the, like actually like now. And sometimes when the sun is behind those clouds, the
mm.
clouds will be very black, but it's really true that the edge of the cloud, there's a really strong white line
Oh,
for
really?
whatever,
I know that.
yeah.
No, I've not seen that
And
before.
so I know because for me, where I live, I think it's probably just because of
Mm.
the weather that we have, but
Yeah,
um, it's very clear that this came from that idea because
yeah.
there's a really strong line
Mm.
around the cloud. And it reminds you that behind that cloud is the sun, and the sun is the happy, is the good. So
Yeah,
yeah.
sometimes you see very strong kind of sun rays, sun beams of light from the sky
Mm,
during a rainstorm as well. I always like to see that.
yeah. And I already knew the silver lining one.
Okay.
Good job, Anna. But the last one, not maybe so much an idiom as much as just a
Mm,
phrase that we would use. But so here, at least something didn't happen. So just a way of sort of reflecting and, so maybe we had a difficult situation, but at least this didn't happen. Maybe we're going out for a picnic and all day long the weather is gray, but at
hmm.
least it didn't rain.
Yeah.
The day wasn't perfect, but it was okay.
Hmm.
So, yeah, highlighting the fact that something worse could have happened, didn't.
Yeah, we often use could as well. So it could have been worse or it could be worse.
Hmm.
We often use
Yeah.
those as well. Oh, Tatiana, again, looking on the bright side. Now I feel lonely because of the confinement. On the bright side, I have a lot of time to learn English. That's great. Yeah, there is always
Yeah.
silver lining, Tatiana.
Yes. Nice. Well, that was a quick. I just looked at the clock and wow, that was a fast lesson today.
It was, yeah. Um, yeah, a good conversation, I think, with these expressions.
uh, and a lot of thank you guys at home for also talking with us, sharing
Mm,
how you can apply these situations to yourself. You've used the webinar well, and
absolutely.
in the end, it was not a bad day. This was a not this is a good way to start the day.
Yeah,
Yes.
think so. I really admire those of you who come to us at 9 a.m. I think it's probably difficult to find the motivation sometimes. So I'm really pleased that you did.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thank you for coming, you guys. Um, well, with that, then I think
Mhm.
we can say goodbye to everyone. Thank you guys for coming, and hope to see you maybe at another 9 o'clock or at another lesson. Have a good day. Have a good weekend. The
Yeah,
weekend is starting today.
and
Try and find something different to do.
mhm, that's what they
All
say.
right.
That's what the advice.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. See you later. Bye bye.